creature called a Srexon, which had a lizard head and tail. The 2 wagons at the rear were packed full of goods that would be used for trade, and only had enough room for the 2 drivers. The middle wagon carried supplies for the people on the journey, including tents, food, water, and anything else they might need for the camp. The front 2 carts were for the people that were going as delegates to Chimera. Aside from Noah and Emma, there were a dozen soldiers that were there to act as guards. The last time these 2 went off to make contact with a settlement, they had ended up being held against their will and were almost used as human sacrifices. So Sidney made it a rule that they were going to take a guard detachment with them. In addition, Elisa and Philip had elected to be involved in this first contact situation. "Who is this?" Noah asked, tilting his chin towards Nova S. as he and Jeremiah walked up to the wagons. The Avatar wore his hood and looked like he was a rogue, thief, or assassin. Jeremiah indicated Nova S. with the wave of his hand. "His Lord Dungeon would like for you to take this representative with you on your journey," he said cryptically, with a slight bow. "I'm sorry, my lord, but we don't have any more supplies for an additional traveler. It would take hours to make room, and we are departing momentarily," Noah said into the air. He was one of the only people that truly understood that Sidney was always listening. "I assure you," Nova said, as he slowly removed his head that covered his face, "I won't eat much." This was one of the most intricate golems that Sidney had ever made. The overlapping metal structure of his face moved around to imitate facial expression like nothing before it. "My lord," he said, knowing immediately that it was Sidney in the golem, "I meant no disrespect. We are just eager to be on our way." He motioned towards the convoy. "Be calm," Nova S. held out his hand. "I only wish to tag along. You will still oversee this little expedition. I may not even inhabit Nova S for the entire duration of the journey." "Well, if it would please your lordship, we should be off to utilize as much of the daytime that we can," he said. "By all means," Sidney said. Nova S followed Noah to the lead wagon and climbed into the back of it. The 5 wagons set off from the small town of Swethvarn, leaving behind the people who were preparing for a new partnership with Chimera. Throna, Swethvarn, and Green Cove already had strong trade relationships, and even though there was no overarching government yet, they were united under the Dungeon of the Walking Rocks, and they welcomed adding more cities to their union. These 3 cities had only survived because Sidney had planted a core in each one of them during a time of need. The people of these cities used his power to grow stronger while also feeding him strength. He didn't really know what to expect from other cities that might not need a core to survive. There were no indicators of how they would react to him and his ideals, and for the time there was no big bad on the island that was oppressing them. He couldn't help but think about opening up trade routes to the mainland, but there were reports that the ships they sent there were being destroyed or taken, but they never returned. He didn't want to dump resources into throwing away ships at the moment, so he had elected not to let them reopen trade. From his spot in the back, Sidney watched Noah and Emma in the front. They were very much in love, having recently decided that they were going to get married. She rested her head on Noah's shoulder while he drove the Srexon that pulled their wagon. "Has anyone been to Chimera?" Noah asked, looking around at the people in the wagon. Aside from the 4 hero units, there were 4 guards. The other wagon had the other 8 guards that were coming along. Most of them had the gunslinger class, and each of those had a pistol strapped to their hip. One of the guards spoke up. "When I was just a lad, I took a trip there with my father. Granted, that was before the undead dungeon." He was lying along the side of the wagon with his legs propped up on a crate.